What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor, and thank you for tuning in for another fantastic live stream on Sunday. Of course, we have a pretty much an action-packed week coming ahead of us. We have we got a lot of earnings coming out this week. Again, we're just looking here on the screen. We got Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and that's just only on one day going forth. So that's going to be a lot of action happening. Of course, we got Fastly, UPS, BA, GE, Etsy, Pinterest, AMD, Microsoft, Twilio, Chegg, 3M, Caterpillar. We have some ones that are pretty large as well. Ddog. We have Ford Motor Company. We have ServiceNow, which has always been a very crazy one as well. Of course, we got Sherwin-Williams, which is a very highly priced stock as well. Let's go. Earnings season, BBS. A lot of earnings seasons coming out here. Makeshift Alpaca. Thanks for joining in for another fantastic live stream, guys. Of course, we got Google, Alphabet, basically. Some very large names to come through here. So we got everything. Eli Lilly. We got JetBlue, again, commercial airline stuff. Definitely going to be a very, very packed-filled week, honestly, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities in the market without a doubt. I just hope no one's just going straight YOLO calls. I'm just be fully discerning between that and what could be happening going forth with these pretty enormous amount of companies that are reporting this week again. Again, I don't know if you guys saw on Thursday morning, we got Nikola and Shopify as well. Twitter, which I really don't care about, nixed that one out. Modernum, Spotify, Overstock, Penn, Kraft Heinz, which has been kind of still struggling. Global Payments, which is a little bit hit and miss on that one as well. Don't know too much about the ins and outs of that. And then AB and Brewery. I don't even know what this one does, honestly. Never heard of it. Someone probably out there does. So, yeah, this is going to be a pretty cray-cray ride, as the kids say. So let's go ahead and actually look at the S&P 500 real fast. I was looking at Chegg. This being said, S&P 500, as we talked about, closing out the week, it was basically chop city. We opened up on Monday, kind of a down day, but then we just kind of held that 618 here on the chart here for quite some time. So nothing to really report on S&P 500 on what was the overall diagnosis of up, down, left, right. Is it a bear market, a bull market? It's just chop market. Again, we have the elections, what is it, less than 2 weeks? Yeah, week and a half away. So it's going to be could be a substantial, of course, pull in the market, or whichever way it goes. I think a lot of people that I know, individually traders, are kind of just scaling back and just kind of sitting on their hands and seeing how things play out. I know some folks who are just going to be playing short-term earnings options, and then really seeing on how the overall market can transpire in the next coming weeks, even after the overall election stuff. So lack of better words, of just not going full YOLO, which we never should do within any very particular stock or any kind of company, in the matter of fact of that. Because again, if we even drill this down to a little bit more, let's see, let's do 20 there. So basically, this is the last 5 days on how we've really seen here. Let's see here. Let's also, I'm just pinging. And let's close that. All right. So, again, we basically put a box around it, kind of disguising it on looking at this trading sideways action. Again, nothing to really report. A lot of people did get whipsawed around, and the overall market really just kind of scared maybe some people. And again, the commentators, the talking heads, kind of persuade things going in certain directions and so forth. But definitely something to kind of look out for in between those different various stocks. So that being said, we got some folks joining in. Thanks, guys. Pat is asking thoughts on AMD. Andrew says, which earnings stocks next week are you going to be most bullish on? That's an interesting one. That's an interesting question. Of course, full disclosure, I'm a very long-term investor in AMD. I also own some Amazon. I also own, what else on here? I'm trying to look. I own Ddog, but it's not like anything long-term. What am I the most bullish on? Probably, again, it's going to be, I have money in the thing is AMD. I'm the most bullish on. That being said, I'm also very optimistic and bullish on Pinterest, Teladoc, Etsy, and honestly, Shopify. It's been in a very, very weird sideways action. But again, I'm not a big player of earnings because again, it could earnings are a complete kind of a coin flip. So I don't really want to be playing those in the short term. Again, maybe there's a buying opportunity as well. Michael, that's a good point. Yes. UPS is one. I'm sorry, I totally missed UPS. I was going to say FedEx, but it's, UPS is definitely one that's on my list as well. Pat is like, I own AMD. Yeah, let's go ahead and look at AMD real fast. AMD, again, with the overall market, has just kind of been, it's been down over the past 5 days, but not tremendously down because, again, this is the Monday selling off and then had a strong bounce here off the 55 EMA or this lower band of the Fibonacci retracement here at 2360. And made a pretty strong bounce. Now trying to get back above the 21 EMA. If we get the 5 and 8 moving averages to start curling and cutting back through the 21 EMA, we could see that movement to continue higher. Again, full disclosure, be super careful around earnings because, again, implied volatility, especially with options. Some people just like to do is owning up the stock if they're a long-term investor in it. That's totally fine. I'm totally for that. I own most of my shares and everything are in stock. It's not within those trading of options, but we really need to see this potentially hold. We are seeing that base. We want to build that base here. We saw that previous base here, kind of start building out here. We are seeing higher lows, which is another good sign of seeing the momentum switch within AMD and really kind of show some consolidation. Because again, if you recall, Pat, we saw Intel miss pretty heavily again and really get paying the price for it in that sense. Now let's look at UPS real fast. I forget how this chart has just been a upward rocket ship, and now it's trying to consolidate here on the 21 EMA. I don't know. Definitely going to be a one to potentially see on how this one plays out. Again, I think this could be potentially to the upside. To what level? We can look at the weekly trading of these options. Oh, well, these are open up. It's around $15, or let's call it $14. So that could be easily put it well past to nearly, I'm saying, to like 190. Could be some of the upward bands that we could be looking at for this week. So that would be somewhat in the overall expected move of things. To UPS, let's do that line. And then, of course, the downward side, we're looking for below like the 165-ish. To the 164 range. Again, kind of coming in right where that 50-day moving averages is. Looking for that support to kind of come in there. When do you think Snap is going to tank? Going to have a couple puts on it. I don't know when Snap's going to tank. So normally what happens is if a stock has a very large deviation move over earnings, that can really kind of create a new band or a new trend in the overall stock and seeing how this trades. But that being said, we could see this kind of easily trade if we get that momentum to continue up to 46 to even $47. That's going to be the next overall Fibonacci retracement from its current projections. But I understand that you're looks like you want to short this. So I have to be very careful and mindful of shorting something that's trying to go parabolic, because you could really easily get burnt on just a very slight upward projection. Since it's been I think it would be 4 days come Monday, right? 4 trading days. We could potentially see this to kind of cool off, maybe hold around the 43-ish level, into 44, and maybe start making its way back down to maybe the $40 level, and we'll see how that one overall pans out. But yeah, definitely a interesting play, and it was a very large move to the upside there. Can it go to 100? Yeah, that's going to be a little bit too far out there for me right now. It needs to prove itself a little bit more. What's up, Alpaca? Ken, do you think SPY is going to crash this week? By crash, do you mean like a drop of like over 10%, or like a correction? What are you thinking? Or what are you trying to say? Really seeing that movement. For a crash to really happen for SPY, we really need to start getting some key levels below. If we start getting below 340 or 339, Alpaca, that could be some starting signs of some potential headwinds, or some potential signs of some early droppers in price, and see that movement start going back down. But again, that 340 price has been a very strong support level. Again, anything can happen. I'm not saying that I know or predict the future. I'm just saying that this has been a support level. If it does get to this level and holds, then it's fine. But if we start getting the 5 and 8 moving averages crossing through the 21 EMA, through the 34, and we get some aggressive downward movement with ticks, you can see the momentum has been slowing down. Just again, we have been in Chop City for some time. So anything can be happen on the fronts of that. Trevor, what's up ahead? Ken, can you do some TA on the Nasdaq? Yeah, Nasdaq Futures. Nasdaq Futures is kind of similar. Again, we're down just a hair, about like 0.5%. With this being said, we're kind of coming in between the 21 and 34 EMA, which has been a known spot for some overall consolidation. Again, with the Nasdaq being very heavy in tech side stuff, we have a lot of companies reporting this week that are very focused within the technology industries. So that being said, we want to kind of keep this moving averages, or the ticks, or the overall candlesticks, kind of above the 50-day, which kind of falls in around 11,516-ish range, plus or minus 5 points in that area, to kind of potentially see this hold. But if we start getting some aggressive selling with the 5 and 8 to cross through the 21, we can easily come back down to around the 11,336 there, Trevor. And then to the upside, the same way. We're kind of looking for this to potentially consolidate around the 11,560, potentially start making its way up to 11,774. Options on Fastly of this massive dip. Yeah, Fastly, it's all really tied to that TikTok stuff, man. It's I don't know how to say it in get these out of the way. Look at these movements here. We can kind of see, project out some potential levels here of support. So we're seeing some support around $79 and then $63. We are seeing a little bit of a bounce here around the $71 price target here. Not saying this could be any kind of tighter consolidation, but this definitely could be a start of a base building. Because again, we're still kind of somewhat free falling, because you're seeing the 5 and 8 moving averages still pointing aggressively to the ground, hinting and kind of pointing at some choppy movement. Again, more downward bleeding potentially. But this could be stopped and could be the bleeding stopped by the overall earnings coming out. Is earnings going to be strong? Has the market been too mean to Fastly and has given its price targets to way too low? I'm not sure. I really don't want to be touching this on the 10-foot pole because there's just too many unknowns. So if there's a thing in rocket scientists where there's just too many unknowns to give you an educated guess on this one. There's just we don't know enough of the unknowns. Yeah, with American Airlines, it's gonna be a very tough one as well. I think with the SPY can go down to the stimulus dies. I don't think the stimulus is gonna die. That's honestly my opinion. I just think it's just gonna be kick the can down the road. And see how that plays out. You're looking for a short position. Okay, Pat. Okay. Just be careful with shorting because, again, shorting it could really hurt you if you don't know what you're doing. I'm not saying you don't know what you're doing, but just be ready out there. Michael, want to look at Tesla? Let's look at Tesla. Tesla, whew, this one has been, I think, a disappointment for a lot of people, and I think a lot of people were just kind of like flip-flopping out of it, because this has literally been just chop market for Tesla, while other things are making new highs and all kinds of things. We had a lack of a better words, a disappointment for some folks on battery day. I think it's going to be coming out, this new battery technology, that next Friday. And just they don't have the patience, I think, sometimes, especially with some of those investors just want things to have it now, and not having the patience to really have it rolled out. And I think maybe the overall speculation behind it was just too overhyped, because it just literally battery day kept on moving and everyone's like, oh, it's going to be so huge, it's going to be so breaking news and all this kind of stuff, and people are not really very well received. That being said, of course, Tesla had great earnings as well, with really great growth, a lot of deliveries, a lot of cars they manufactured. A lot of the Tesla short sellers are saying things like, oh, they're just getting all this money and all these overall revenue due to the credits. But once those credits dry up, of course, that revenue will dry up as well to be realized on. They're actually not making the same kind of prices that other people are saying they are, or the untold realize, if that makes sense. But with Tesla, we're looking for some initial support around the 395. So if it does come to 395, that would be an initial nibble if you're going to be short-term investing. If you want to be holding a little bit longer, you're going to be maybe looking for around 370 to even to 365. But we are seeing the 5 and 8 still being above the 21 and 34 MA. But if we start getting some selling here through and through, be very careful. This could drop like a rock. And to the upside, we have seen multiple times failure at around the $465 range, where we just kind of hit this invisible wall and just really just kind of bounced lower and just really haven't been able to recover or really kind of get our senses back from once that is hit. Because again, we've just been in this really tight trading range, really with expectations on just trying to have a blowout quarter and really just take it to the road. Yeah, real estate prices in California are high. I can only imagine. Yeah. Nikola. Oh, yeah. Tell me about Nikola. This one has definitely been a interesting play. Matter of the fact, Nikola, of course, we traded the SPAC. We traded the SPAC basically from that 13 to around 25 and then got out. Totally missed this whole run up here, and then really just kind of shorted it back here around 57 all the way down. No, sorry. We shorted it right around here. We shorted it right about this area here, 67, and then dropped to like 57, and then we got out of it. But Mrs. Whole other drop, of course, that was well before all the drama that kind of was entailed and entwined with Nikola. But this thing is still kind of holding, again, make a good point, around the $22 range with earnings on Thursday morning. Again, this is not going to be one I want to hold, honestly, Alpaca, because is it Alpaca or sorry, Makeshift, that I really don't want to be touching, honestly, with the sense of it could be very, very volatile, and it literally could just surprise you. Like I hate to say it, but this could run. I know that seems crazy, but like, yeah. Some initial support to the downside is around $18.40 as of Friday. But again, it's kind of trying to been breaking above the 21 EMA, but has failed multiple times. So just take that with a grain of salt as well. Again, this is not your ordinary stock, so just be very, very, very careful out there. Feet ENPH. I don't know what this one does, but this looks interesting. So looks like it had a pretty nice run here with earnings coming up as well on the 27th, so 2 days from now. And seeing this really kind of impressive numbers here, kind of holding this 21 and coming down to the 34 MA and bouncing pretty hard. Not sure what your positions in this one is, but this looks like a pretty strong move on the run up here. If as long as it starts staying above that 34 or this 1618 Fibonacci retracement, things could be continuing to hold this upward trend here. Roland 1 says PLTR. Yes, we can look at that one. So PLTR is Palantir Technologies. This one has kind of been bouncing around, not really getting a good name. A lot of people don't like to touch it for whatever, like political reasons or whatever. But this company is trying, that has worked with a lot of government contracts, still does, but they're kind of creating like an enterprise version of this technology they use to help the government track. Sorry, 1 second. Get adjusting my sandals are kind of. There we go. Got some new Adidas sandals in there. Had to adjust the strap. Where was I? I was talking about PLTR. So this one has kind of just been in a very tight movement. Again, full disclosure, I own shares in this company. But I'm just holding it for long term, and I bought it well above where it's currently trading, honestly. I think I bought it at 10 something, 10.25, 10.35 or something like that. But I think this one, as long as it starts trading sideways, would love to see some potential earnings, 2 or 3 earnings to potentially maybe get a dip, or even if it runs, it'd be fantastic. But this is definitely one I kind of believe in long term, and I have to kind of thank Alpaca for this one to kind of bring it to my attention. Oliver says new home sales are going to be astronomical. I kind of agree with that. So like we can look at like Zillow. So Zillow is something that I own as well. I didn't get into Redfin. I just got into Zillow, and then I own like a couple of the home builders. So with like Zillow, of course, everyone's got to buy, sell a home. Even this is, again, the new home stuff, people have to look for them. And most people honestly just like to peruse Zillow to see what other people's houses in their market, or even that their neighbors have bought or something like that. I know multiple people who, nope, not, I'll be the first one to admit, when I go to someone's house, I always look up on Zillow on how much they paid for it, like just to be curious, right? I know that's a terrible thing to do, but that's I can tell you guys that. You guys won't tell anyone, right? So between the 5 and 8, kind of got that movement through the 21 EMA, kind of bouncing here. As long as this 50-day to 34 EMA kind of hold here, so as long as it stays above that 93-ish range, we can see this potentially get a bounce here. Again, heads up, we do have earnings coming out, so be very careful. This one is kind of in a, I don't want to say a sell-off range, but kind of a breaking of the trend potentially could. This has hit the 50 EMA a couple times on the way up, so nothing out of the ordinary here until we start getting some heavy selling below 90. Uh, yeah, some people are still in that. There are some true believers in that still. What up, Alan? How you doing? I think tech can go up for another leg higher again. Again, it's going to really tie into how the overall market's going to react. Because again, we're going to be sitting at some volatile times, especially this week into next week. We got that election, so it's going to be really hard to focus on a lot of those tech heavy stocks because again, a lot of people will be throwing their 2 cents out on overall at that clown show. James Love says, "Is that a famous golfer? Or is that's Davis Love, David Love the third. I feel that my AMD's, I feel like my AMD's just gonna be tanked down to 60. The gap fill. Yeah, James, I agree. PLTR is somewhat new. That's why I only bought a very small position, but kind of just not really looking on a day-to-day basis. AMD to 60. Again, anything can happen. But the overall movement we're looking for AMD for the week, we can kind of look on what the options makers are saying. Market makers is around $7.03. So we're currently sitting at that would be kind of putting it into the lower $70s range. There's some pretty strong initial support around 75, but like you saw with Intel, had a lot of selling and it really took it down quite substantially to some very low levels. So with AMD, if it does sell off and really does get hit, we do have some initial support to kind of fill this gap like you talked about, but it's gonna be around that $70 price target. $60 is going to be substantially lower all the way down to its previous kind of stronger base that we built. But that 200 EMA could catch that falling knife and kind of stick it for a little bit. Makeshift. Can we look at Microsoft? Yeah, let's look at Microsoft. That has on Tuesday, right? Yeah, Microsoft. Whew, this is a could still go on stock again. The ticks are above the 21 EMA, like it's better than the couple of those stocks that we just looked at. The 5 and 8 are still above the 21 EMA. It has had some overhaul resistance here around that 225, but again, the techs haven't really been soaring as they have been. And again, I think there's just a lot of chop in the market, a lot of uncertainty, and people just kind of waiting to see how the chips fall, or they're going to wait for the next card to come out. But with this one, I really do like Microsoft. If you're a long term shareholder there, makeshift. But this is definitely one I like long term. Mm. Yeah, I could see that if the Rona goes up, tech may go up. It could. It could. Mr. T, what's up, man? How you doing? Been watching your videos for a few weeks now. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Maxwell. And thank you, Makeshift, for always telling people to like. I really do appreciate it. I've been stocking up on AMD because I have a strong, reasonable belief that the R9 XE has the best Nvidia, will beat Nvidia. On how likely is the stock to reflect them? Does that happen? Um, um, so looking at that, Mr. T, with AMD, so I don't know if you're full aware of it. AMD is one of my largest positions in my portfolio, to the upside, and we've been building it on and off for months and months and months and months now. It's really been my largest holding for 2020. We really got into it right around this area here, during the summertime, and really rode it up here quite a bit. That being said, it's kind of been really kind of dormant, kind of consolidating here, and nothing really not really doing much of anything. It has been kind of going up and down with the overall market, aka that kangaroo motion, that chop motion. But that being said, if this trend wants to continue and we stay above that, at least the 144 range, which is above $70, the next targets, on the weekly side, we can see up here, is substantially well above 106 to 130. I know those targets are a little pretty far out there, maybe just seem a little bit unreachable, but that's what the overall trend is looking at. If we can still stay above, these longer dated moving averages there. Hopefully that helped you. But yeah, again, if you're just talking about straight of the graphics card, it's gonna be a little more difficult than that. I'm seeing, like, I can agree with you that maybe it has the better graphics card and maybe more reasonable priced. But yeah. What's up, Fish? What's up? What's up? Stimulus, plus post election, most likely, yeah. What do you think about Tesla will be up to due to the recall and considering it a trend on a 4-hour chart? They're having a recall? What are they having a recall? A Tesla recall? What are they recalling? Tesla recall. Tesla argues no defective of suspension. Says China is forcing unnecessary recall. Oh, that sounds fun. So it might be a buying opportunity in Tesla then. Let's see how that, opens up tomorrow. Again, like we talked about this one a little bit earlier, we have some initial short-term support coming around 400 to 395, and then all the way down to 370. Again, Tesla, super volatile, probably one of the most volatile stocks I've ever traded and kind of been around. This can easily come back down, to break past that 360 to 350 level there. So buckle up and get ready to, ride a very bucking bronco if we do get some, downward motion again. I don't know if people's opinions are on, like, do you think that the Hummer EV is really going to be competing with the Tesla? I don't know. Yeah, Tesla has a recall. So I just pulled this up on a quick tweet or electric, saying that Tesla has almost 3,000 Model S's and Model X's were shipped to China over an alleged issue of its suspension. Of course, due to the option of whatever this means, the topic required a recall in the China market. Tesla has left with no choice to either recall the subject vehicles or carry a heavy burden from the Chinese administrative process. While Tesla discloses the opinion of the SMAR DMC, the company decided not to display the recall in the China market only. They put the blame on the drivers. And this is the recall that you're talking about. So I'm not quite 100% sure what you're talking about. It's a BS recall, Alan. That's what it seems like. But yeah, Tesla's gonna go on sale. It could be. Yeah. So Fish AMD has new cards on Wednesday. Isn't that funny how they do that? That's funny how they do that. It's funny they do it on a Wednesday, a day after their earnings on Tuesday. Funny folks over there. Makeshift, they're trying to pump up NIO. The Chinese Communist Party is trying to help NIO out. They're trying to pump up theirs. I love it. Makeshift, for sure. I agree. James Love says, I have a buy order for Tesla at 300. He says, I feel it might go bonkers to the downside sooner or later. Yeah, it could. Anything can happen, right? Anything can happen. We literally had the whole world economy shut down and really change on how everything's doing, and we're still living and breathing, most folks. And yes, we've had an effect on some of the smaller mom and pop stores to a very strong degree, but we're still we're still kicking, right? Isn't the point of investing in Tesla more than their battery technology? Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people look at it as a car company. I think they're wrong about that. It's more of a technology and the future innovations of just human anything. Like what they can. A lot of people own Tesla because of they can't own SpaceX or Starlink. And of course, they just want to invest directly into Mr. Elon Musk, what we call him Papa Ela. I agree 100%, Alan. They're just making to check the boxes and just make people happy. Maxwell, do you use Fibonacci retracements to predict potential price levels? Other way to know where to draw the low points of Fibonacci? Yeah, so there's different ways to do it, Perry. On Fibonacci retracements, you can do the swing high to swing low. There's other Fibonacci retracements on the sense of extensions and so forth. So it can be pretty different various variances. So, for example, Apple. So this is the previous swing high to low. So that is just a very basic Fibonacci retracement, and kind of see on how that plays out. What we could do is do a Fibonacci extension, which is a swing high to swing low to swing high, which it could be pulling out some potential downside movement if it does want to go down. We could and again with we're looking at Apple now, looking for some potential targets around 111.92, the 107.75, aim down to 103. So Apple's move for this week's around $7. $7 pretty substantial for a 100-ish dollar stock. So we're looking for about like a 4 to 5% move potentially. So looking for some initially to kind of potentially break down to the 107 if it wants to break down, and really see that kind of play out there. Or like we said, we can go to the other Fibonacci retracements here. Oops. There. And it's been hitting this wall here at 124-ish range, but can easily come up to that level if we get that really strong momentum and everyone out there is buying those AirPods, right? I think the PlayStation 5 using AMD chips or some kind of alternative to it. I think there's going to be a lot of subsidization for PlayStation or Sony to have those chips in there. Do I normally do 1 year? Yeah. I always look at a daily or a weekly chart. I sometimes will go down to a 4 hour chart. So if I don't trade, I don't like day trade or anything because it's just a little bit too fast paced for me, and I'm a little bit of a slow turtle. So I usually don't really do much of anything around that. So I'm a little bit more further out looking and really just kind of maybe playing a little bit of the longer game more than other people. And I just kind of keep myself tied to some pretty strict rules on the weekly and daily charts. Those are usually my go-to charts without a doubt. Another chart I always want to look at is Disney. Disney has definitely been a very strange one, especially in this market, of course, with the politics in either which direction, with Disneyland not able to open up in Anaheim for quite some time, and I don't think it's still closed. Um, with this one really been hit the market, of course, with their streaming stuff has just been gangbusters. Of course, if you haven't already, definitely check out The Mandalorian. I think one of my first favorite shows that I've seen in a very long time, and really just seeing it. The streaming service to really grow, and especially during this time, I'm really glad being a Disney shareholder that this has come about and really has saved the company, lack of better words. But with Disney, we've really seen some really tight consolidation here around that 124 level. Maybe have that base building. If we do get a sell off or some kind of a little bit steep selling coming into next week, we could easily see it come down to like the 120 to 120 range and see it potentially hold in those areas there. But definitely Disney, as long as it builds this tighter consolidation around this range here, around the 125, we could easily see this up to the upside to 137. But if things kind of go negative and then we get some negative news or whatever reason, Disney could be going down, we're going to be looking for some support around the 116. What up, V? Does Google look good? Google looks like an interesting play. So Google, oh, I spelled too many G's in there, or O's. So this one has definitely been one that's kind of been and making a really strong cup here, with earnings again coming out as well. Be super mindful of that. This again, normally, Google doesn't do the greatest on earnings. It's one of those stocks that has kind of been somewhat stagnant. It hasn't really broken out to an all-time highs like these other stocks that we looked at here. But that being said, we have some overhead targets around 1656 to 1671 to the upside. But if that can really break, we're going to be looking for some substantially stronger numbers coming into around that $1,800 range. To the downside, we're going to be looking for some initial support really in the short-term side around 1570 and then all the way down to around that 1525. Again, this is a pretty hefty stock. We're talking about $1,600. So the overall move for Google this week is going to be around $88. So it's going to be a little bit of a spicy meatball, as they say in the kitchen. Yeah, TSM is definitely a great. The Taiwanese company is very good semiconductor, a good long-term hold as well. I own that as well. It's the bottom price channel for Intel from 2009. Are you just doing like a trend line or something? I'm actually horrible with trend lines, and yeah. So I'm not seeing it if you're doing it this way, or unless you're doing the ticks. I'm not sure how people draw trend lines. It's always kind of up to whoever's drawing it. Makes sense, but yeah. TSM was my whole account a year ago. Wow, that's crazy. But yeah, Intel, that thing got hit once again after earnings. Not going down as drastic as it was before, but it still was very large gap, not by percentage standpoint, but it was maybe like a 12% compared to the 20% that it saw earlier this year on the last quarter. But this is definitely one that kind of be, these are some warning signs. I don't like to see people just go out there and start buying until the bottom here. I think it's going to be not going anywhere else. Guys, a couple more tickers, then I got to get going here. The Sandman's coming in and making me all tired here, so just a couple more stocks, and then we're going to call it a night. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Can we look at LVGO earnings? Embargo. Oh, this is a strong looking one here, my friend. This has been holding that 21 EMA, coming down to that 34 and 50 sometimes, but now we've potentially seen that 5 and 8 cross through the 21, so we could see some potential downward movement. But if this doesn't hold, looks like it does have earnings, so I'm a little bit skeptical on that. Be very careful looking at that. We could see some further downside, but we do have a squeeze setting up, volumes kind of drying up. I'm a little bit hesitant to see on how this plays out. But as long as we stay above that 135, I think this trend is still has some momentum. But we have, again, it's not the same trend that we saw a couple of months ago. It's kind of slowing down up here. We're not seeing any high levels on the RSI here or the volumes on oscillator, but we could be potentially seeing that squeeze is setting up here. So this could be a very nice tight pattern to kind of be playing out here. Why was the Great Hermes the biggest dog ever, and why is M. Night Shyamalan's Avatar: The Last Airbender your favorite movie? No, I've never seen that movie actually, so I don't know. You're welcome, V. You're very welcome. I refuse that everyone's favorite. I don't even know what that kind of dog is. Great Pyrenees. Let's look those up real fast. Oh, wow. Those are big. How big are these dogs? These are like huge sheep dogs, right? Holy moly. I know what kind of dog. Oh my gosh, these are huge dogs. That's like yeah, that's familiar with, yeah. That's insane. Wow. Those are very large dogs. Yeah. Did they shed? Oh, that's a beautiful looking dog. Beautiful looking doggies. I think I need to get a doggy soon. My little one's been asking. Oh, you have one? Nice. Alan says, I have 2 stocks to take a look at for long-term plays. SMG was a Scott's Miracle-Gro, and a subsidiary of the Hawthorne Garden, which is my best indoor, which they make the best indoor SMG. I'm sure, Alan, this is going to be a great stock because you always come with great stocks, Alan. So this is definitely one that's kind of been bouncing around here. We're seeing longer term play. So on the weekly side, since you're doing longer term, we're seeing that 21 EMA been bounced here multiple times. Again, a lot of people are being, again, Alan, I know you know, that stay-at-home gardener, stay-at-home farmer, and really kind of see that bounce off 150. Again, that being said, we are just broke to the parabolic SER dots to the upside of last week. So let's see how that looks here in the daily chart. A little choppy here, nothing really to write home about. As long as it starts staying above that 154 to around that 147, I think this one could be a nice play. Yeah, as suspected that they don't have weekly options, so that can't give you an accurate of what the market maker move could be. But I think sometimes they have that up here. Oh, I clicked on the wrong start. $7.06 here on the market maker move. So be very mindful of that. Again, that could bring us down to that lower level here. So depending on how long term you want to go, I would need to see it break at least 150-ish for me to potentially to add to it. They have helped spend 80,000 K in New Jersey to help pass marijuana. Yeah, I don't know so much about that business, honestly. I know a lot of folks with the Discord talk about it constantly. I haven't got back to the lawyer at my company on my contract and if I'm able to even touch those stocks. It was a very unclear answer that I got from him previously. So, yeah. Oh, we need suppliers. Okay, I guess I'm not in the know. I thought you were just gonna be growing tomatoes with your Scott Miracle Grow. At least a year play. Yeah, I think if you're, I guess, playing on who can potentially win the election, I believe Biden and Harris is going to be a little bit better play on more openness to marijuana than Trump would have been. Yeah, alpaca. What is that one that you and a couple other folks told me about? It was like MM. I have it on my list here. Hold on, I can pull it. MMDNF. EDF, sorry, has been one that you said you own this. This has definitely been one that's been really outperforming the market. Alan, I love that explanation of just like that's a great way to put it because again, a lot of people are like, okay, I know who's going to be making the most money. It's going to be people who sold them the supplies to get the gold. Because again, why should I be in the game of trying to find gold? Let me just be in the game of helping people find the gold, and I can hit all the markets instead of just finding a very niche probability of profit there. So yeah, that's very interesting as well to see how that one plays out. Very good way to understand that. BA, yes, I did see someone else kind of pop on fish as well. If you did it, I will. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, BA. Someone came online. I saw that. My bad. So BA, it's kind of been trading here sideways for quite some time. It does have earnings on what day is that? On Wednesday morning? Yeah, Wednesday morning. We have BA coming out and really seeing how it plays. I don't like to shoot the craps or I'm a betting man, but as long as BA stays above that 161 to even that 160 range, that trend's still intact. It has been bouncing around here a little bit. Of course, you saw it break to here lower trend on the 146. What is the move for the week? For the week, around $11.40. Again, I kind of just see a holding pattern here with BA unless they get some fantastic news about a vaccine or some more reopenings and things like that. But I don't see BA really doing much of anything. I'm sorry if that is a little bit disappointing analysis for you, my friend. Leo, what's my price target for AMD? AMD, I needed to stay above 170 or $75 really. I would love to have it stay above 78, but even if it comes down to 74, 75, I might be adding to my position. But if it really comes crashing down, like we've seen with Intel, we could be looking for around that $70 range there. But to the upside, which I want to focus on, is a little bit higher to the 84 to 86 range, to even higher if we get a very large deviation move within that stock. Yeah, hi, Robinhood hypesters. get ready for a whipsaw. Yes, a lot of people just look at the market day to day and just really kind of react to that instead of just kind of zooming out and looking at the big picture. I don't think people really care about pens, to be quite honest with you, man. I don't really think they really care. Thoughts on Apple? Just hoped on the stream. Sorry if I asked. No worries, my friend. We can do Apple. We're gonna do a couple more. I'm actually getting tired. Sorry, folks. Apple. Again, this one's kind of been beaten up here. We are looking for this consolidation pattern to hold. So the market maker moves around $7 this week. So again, it's a little bit substantial. Long as it stays above that 110 to 111 range, I think this is still going to be a very strong trend and a base building opportunity. For whatever reason, after the split, sorry, getting water. After that split, we really didn't see much of going on. It just kind of just traded sideways, just kind of with Apple. Really didn't do much. It didn't really go anywhere. Nothing really happened. It didn't come flying out of anywhere. Just kind of went blah mode and really just didn't. Nothing really happened. So with Apple, again with that market move, I think Tim Cook and company could really bring a lot of things home. Okay, of course, with the service revenues, of course, everyone that I see is buying those flipping AirPods. Everyone. Alan, the other one is, this is a pure play of MJ. Okay, I can give you the reasoning on the stock. Okay, pure play on MJ. So the weekly side, I've been a little choppy here. It has been bouncing off the 21 here on the weekly, really hitting an all-time high for the year. So I guess that is a good movement in that. But this is kind of not a topping pattern, but we'll see if this trend can continue. Let me pull this real fast for you. So swing high to swing up. Previous swing high to previous swing. Oh, come on, man. Get up there. There we go. We're looking for that again. It broke that around that $9.70 range. If that trend wants to continue, we are seeing some little bouncing here on the RSI and the volume zone oscillator. But really looking for this trend to continue, potentially coming down to the around $8.88 range. That would still be that trend still intact, even down to around $8.50. That trend could be easily coming to $10.73, even up to $12 if we get some very large moves to the upside there. I think there could be a panic sell when Apple hits below 100. Yes, I believe so too. It's a very round number, and people get scared of those round number. Your head and shoulders pattern, like again, those kind of patterns are a little bit harder to decipher. If you consider the shoulder one head and the shoulder two, I can see that pattern. It's the neckline would be kind of at where the current price is around like 81 to 82. So if that really does fail, which again, anything can happen in the market, we could be a nice little buying opportunity there. Greg B, what's up, my friend? Yeah, Pack. I don't think people really care about pens. Yeah. Severn, can we look at CEMI? Never heard of that one. I think we did this one. Okay. I remember talking this one now. It's huge swing higher. We looked for some initial support around $3.23. It has held, which is good, but now we're in a very tight consolidation pattern here around $5 with earnings coming up, so be very mindful of that. Looking for some initial support to the downside around 450, but this thing could run and we could see some $5.78 and above there. So this is going to be could be in a very aggressive stock going forth. Again, not 100% sure what the company does, but this has been a heck of a move without a doubt there. So be careful with that one. Let's see here. Yeah, we can look at Snap. So Snap is definitely one. Again, we talked about it a little bit towards the top of the hour on the large move that it had after earnings, a large deviation move of a little over one deviation move, and we're seeing that move really continue well past that $40 range we initially gave it for the week, and it's looking for some potentially hitting 47 if that momentum can really carry it through. That being said, normally when a stock gets this large deviation move like this, two things really happen. It just trades sideways, kind of slows down, or it kind of comes back down to some reasonable levels. So we'll kind of see how that plays out tomorrow. And if we don't get that momentum and kind of upward projection to kind of really break this high here, we could be seeing this kind of consolidating around that $38 to $36 range there. So be very mindful and careful on this one again, because it's had a pretty large move up, and there could be some weak hands to potentially capture some of that profit on the way up. All you need is love. Yes. We can look at loves. They reported last week, right? So they reported last week, had a nice little move higher, looking for this potentially to go higher. Again, we're trying to break this this topping pattern around 42, which we've failed here multiple times. I'm looking for this potentially to try to hit up to 45.85. If it doesn't, we're going to be coming back down around that support level around 39 to 40 there. Chow says snow, NIO down. Yeah, we did NIO. Let's look at NIO. NIO is a very aggressive stock. Of course, this has earnings as well coming forth. Really seeing that 21 EMA, the 34 EMA really bouncing here and continue going higher. This one looks like it wants to maybe consolidate for a little bit, unless we get some very steep news, really kind of get a kick higher to or above 30. So this is definitely be one to kind of be looking out going forth. So be careful with this one, folks. Snow. Yes. Snow. This one, of course, has been doing air quotes right now, the IPO of the year. It's definitely been a very crazy ride for this one. Really kind of been consolidating around that 250, and then breaking out well nearly past the $300 level. Failed exactly at 300, and now it's kind of bouncing around. For whatever reason, I don't feel comfortable touching the 10-foot pole. I think this is too much pent up demand, and just too much people's like negativity about it. Even though the numbers are so fantastic over there, I just think it's just been a little overhyped for me. And I kind of want to see its first earnings come out and kind of see how that reacts to those numbers there. We already did Apple, my friend. You're welcome, Chris. Yeah, we can do it net. We can look at net. So we have not done net. So this is Cloudflare, same kind of thing. Large move again. I'm a little bit fearful because this has happened before earnings. They literally just ruined earnings because of this. But this is definitely one I want to see kind of be careful with and maybe hold down to $52 to $53 range there. Again, with earnings on the horizon, I'm a little bit more skeptical and careful when I see a large move like this pre-earnings. I'm a little bit I'm not saying NIO is dangerous. I'm just saying at these prices, you have to be very careful because again, buying at the tippy top is not my favorite strategy on NIO, and it has had a multiple gaps up. So it had a huge gap from 21 all the way to 24. Normally, sometimes this would need to kind of consolidate and kind of wait for the longer dated moving averages to kind of catch up. Initial support to the downside is around $24.05 or 50 cents there. Twilio. What's I always forget Twilio. It's such a weird ticker. There it is. There. Oh shoot! Too many. Whoopsies. Hold on. What was I looking at? Our brain's going a little wacky. There we go. Twilio, again, swing high to swing low, had a huge move up again to a lot of these internet companies. Hit this overall extension around 335, came back down. Now it's hitting the 21 EMA. Kind of like this pattern with earnings on the horizon. Again, could be a crapshoot. You're betting it. If it does great, we're going to be looking for those numbers to potentially get above 310 to 335. Downside support is going to be coming in around 274 there. NIO, I am looking for a short for potentially entry. Yeah. Be very careful with that one. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Read the wrong one. Sorry. I ain't touching snow as well. Yeah, Johnny, I messed up the. Look, I don't blame YouTube. I messed up my mouse clicks. I clicked the wrong number, and I think I put the stock live stream to start at like 2:30 a.m. Or 2:30 this afternoon, and it didn't. And then I went to spool it up via the Streamlabs OBS, and it didn't recognize. So I was like, eh. And I was like, oh, that probably threw everyone for a little of a curveball, and really just kind of messed a lot of people's afternoon or evenings up. So I apologize for that, and thank you for coming out, everyone. Campson B says, hey, Ken, thank you for, do you mind looking at RWT? RWT, sure. Redwood Trust. What does this do? Wow. What is this? This looks like an investment firm or some kind of REIT or something. A real estate investment company. Okay. What do they invest in? Yeah, this is going to be, again, playing an ETF or REIT like this is literally just looking at the chart here. It's been slowly grinding up. Again, this is not going to be like a Tesla, Microsoft, or Fastly just dropping and going up and down. But I think if they have a good quarter, we could see this continue to go higher here. Looking for it to potentially break that $8 and even $9 range to the upside. We can look at the fibs for you here. Looking for some initial targets, hold around 820. If that really gets up some upside momentum and gets some upward momentum, we're looking for around $10.08 there. So that's my overall looking at that, yeah. Thanks, Alan. I appreciate it, my friend. Take it easy. Take it easy. Didn't I say I was going to be going to bed? Good night, fish. All right. Okay, we got questions coming in fast here. Oh, you're betting against Fastly? Okay. I don't know the company too well, but I know you can have every right to do that. We did AMD. We haven't done pins. We can do pins. So pins 1 has been on a very large move due to, of course, Snapchat doing very well. Again, we saw that movement really kind of kick up to that $53.35 range. If this wants to continue, we're going to be looking for that $60 plus. And again, anything can happen in the market, so be very mindful of that. Especially with pins or anything, any of these stocks, we can see that movement kind of be playing out. But it's a very active, very fast-moving stock. With earnings on the horizon, they're saying an expected move of about $8.86 this week. So that's going to be a very large move for a $50 stock. So we're looking for basically, I'm going to be kind of dumbing it down, like a 20% move this week. That seems pretty insane, right? That's going to be a very heavy move due to the fact of what we've currently have seen in the stock recently. So $8 is going to be looking well past that $60 range to around that $60 and like $61 to $62 range to the upside. But if we really get a strong deviation move of break, we're looking for $65 plus. To the downside, we're really looking for some support around the $44 range there. Do you have a Discord channel? I do. It should be in the link, my friend. I'm still holding a few Piton puts at 160. I closed most of them. I am really hoping it breaks down more to the downside. I got it ordered. I closed them all. Be careful. Yeah, Piton has been a monstrous stock and has really ripped people's faces off. It's kind of coming down to this 21 EMA for potential support and bouncing pattern here. If it does not hold around the 117 range, or it could be coming down to 110. But if we start consolidating here around this 116 to 117 range, we could see some base building here and maybe try to kick back higher to above 130 there. Can we look at PayPal? Of course. And thank you for saying please. Yeah, PayPal, Square, they have kind of been like in this weird, like choppy range and not have been really doing much of anything. With this one, kind of tight consolidation pattern, again, with earnings coming out this week. Super mindful that anything can happen, but the overall trend is still above the 21 and 34 MA, so everything is looking fine. But again, with this huge curveball, aka the coin flip of earnings, we could see some maybe some potential downsides coming in there. But to the upside, we're going to be looking for at least 215 to 220 if it really does get that momentum to go up. We have covered Snap already. So for Snap AV, we're looking for to potentially hold that level where it's currently at. If it doesn't, we get some selling. We could be looking for around 37 to 36 to the upside. If the trend wants to continue and the really strong momentum FOMO is going to be coming in, we could be looking for the stock to potentially even get moved up to around the $47 strike price. Predictions for AMD. For AMD, we talked about that as well earlier. This one is definitely looking for it to hold and stay above any kind of pattern above 75. If it can stay above 75, I think that'd be a great little movement. But looking for, again, full disclosure, I'm a long-term investor in Tesla, in AMD, looking for that movement to kind of break above 86 to the upside with any kind of good news and kind of really doing the complete opposite of what Intel does. Mr. T, do I have any recommendations on how to read charts? It's just a lot of practice and just reading and just sitting in front of the screens a lot. Like reading, it could be anything from any kind of technical analysis book and just finding on what clicks for you, what makes sense to you, and what you understand and how you look at it trading. Like I hate that sounds like the most stupidest, idiotic, simplistic answer I could give, but there is no easy way. It's just a lot of just looking at the charts, understanding on again, the charts don't tell me where things are going to be going. It just kind of tells me where there could be some price or some psychological levels that we've seen previously before. Um, what do you focus more on, buying or sell? So I sell a lot of puts and calls for premium, but I'm mostly a bull. I buy long. Maybe a super noob question, but why do you may have so much luck day trading SPY by buying calls below 30 RSI and then 5 minutes selling BF is really a good method. So that doesn't really, I don't do that. I don't do trading like that. And I don't believe in the VWAP like a lot of other people do. I think it's just a little bit of a mixed signal with a lot of noise. Bank of America upgrades Pinterest. I'm buying a put a day before earnings, and usually the investment banks are wrong. Yeah, I tend to agree with those analysts as well to kind of see how they play out. Google, yeah, we can take a look at Google. I think Google could have, again, a pretty large move. For Google, we're looking for some potential movement above that $1,600 price target, even up to its previous high. I think this kind of has been underperforming, and lack of better words, not been able to get the love it deserves. But that being said, if it does sell off, which Google has in the past substantially, we're going to be looking for around 1542 to even down to the $1,500 flat. Yeah, we already talked about Apple. Um, what's the ticker for Dunkin' Donuts? I forget that one. Greg B says thoughts on DraftKings. So DraftKings kind of been selling off here a little bit. It's trying to potentially build a base around that $43 level. I have been buying into this. I bought here at 50, got shooken back out, coming back down here, looking for maybe 43 to hold. I really need this to kind of build a base here. By building a base, it needs to kind of have a pretty tight pattern across the board and really hold those that Fibonacci line that you see here around 43. This is going to be something that I need to see really hold here and kind of see how it plays out. AV, the spies and the futures market is going to be bouncing around a lot. There's so many people who are very finicky and short on the trigger finger. They'll shoot first and ask questions later. With Fastly, just like we looked at, DraftKings was a market leader. Now it's getting kind of a kick in the family jewels, and now we're seeing that really steep selling coming in with earnings coming up. This really is a crapshoot and really could really go in either direction on what kind of insights they bring and what revenue brings on the potentially of losing of the movement of TikTok stuff deals. Johnny, can we look at CFF? Yeah, sorry. CFA. What does this do? Has to do with various small aircraft training. Okay. Not familiar with that, but that looks really interesting stock. I like it. Almost like looks like the IWM, honestly. I've just kind of been trading here sideways, potentially looking for this move. Again, it's not hit its high from its before the virus, but it's really close. We are seeing a nice pattern here. We are seeing the 5 and 8 above the 21 EMA. RSI is a little bit low. Volume is not really there, honestly, but that is definitely something to be careful with. I don't see earnings as well, so I don't see. This is an ETF, okay, so it doesn't really have earnings. But this one looks like it potentially wants to hit up to like that $58 range. So, Tay says shop. Yeah, shop is one that I am really looking forward to as well to kind of see on how they look out, especially with Etsy as well. I'm looking for this box here to kind of consolidate here. As long as it stays above that $1,000 price target, and it can come down around that 950 to 936 to potentially get some support there. But we're really looking to potentially have it break above 1100 to around that 1150 to kind of really break into all-time highs. So that's what we're going to be looking at there. Andreas, okay, that's Dunkin' Donuts. DNKN. Wow, great stock there, dude. Holy moly. That is beautiful looking chart. Look at that. The thing is, it's been holding that 21 EMA and just continue to grind and grind and grind. Wow, that's great, man. I bet you this is going to be hitting the 1618 up here. Let's see. The 127. Okay, yeah. It's hitting the 127, which is around $89, which is its first target. Potentially could break right through this, like it broke through its previously high here. And then overall target still to kind of break 100 there. So great looking chart there. Alpaca later, my friend. Get some sleep. I'm going to get some sleep here in a second. Thanks, guys, for everyone for coming out. Okay, chat is really moving here, folks. Sorry, a little slow here. Oh, Johnny, CAE. Okay. Okay, there we go. That makes sense. Draw here to there. Come on, click. So again, it kind of looks similar to like the overall air industry, like an airline company. We're seeing that movement higher, that overall gaps in that overall little early movement coming back down, holding this pattern. Now it's trying to break out above 18. If it can get any of that momentum to break above 18, we could easily see 20. But if this fails around that $18 range, it could easily come back down around $16 to $15 there. Disney. We looked at Disney, my friend. We looked at Disney to hold around 125. If it doesn't hold 125, we could be looking for around 117 to 116, but really looking for some strong support around 125 to start breaking its way up to that 130 to 137. Ddog, yeah, DDOG. This is, of course, one that's kind of been beaten up, not as much as Fastly or DraftKings, but it's kind of been out of favor a little bit. Kind of coming down to that 34 EMA, so that trend is still somewhat intact. If it can stay above that $98 to $100 range, we could see that potentially start bouncing back because the 5 and 8 haven't crossed through the 21 yet. So being mindful of that and respecting the trend of what has been. Nvidia, we're going to do a couple more and then I'm going to call it a night. Nvidia, of course, this again, one of the stocks that just keeps on giving and giving, holding that 20 EMA, really hitting some chop here and really seeing this kind of come into play here. This has a little bit earnings much further out, but this 21 to 34 EMA trend is still intact. So as long as it stays above that like 522 to around 528, this trend is still intact, and we're looking for targets above 562 to its previous high at around 590. Kim, we already talked about NIO. NIO is kind of consolidating potentially. If it does get a huge run up in NIO, we're looking for $30 plus. We did Snap as ready, so Snap has been a very large move on earnings. It's been a large deviation, so make sure that it can potentially run up to 47, kind of consolidate where it's currently at, or come back down a little bit lower to some more reasonable moving averages. Ram says BA, please. And we did BA. BA's just kind of been holding that overall trend. We'll see how that one plays out. Mike, GME. GME has been one that I get requested quite a bit and get pinged about. This thing has just been a complete movement higher, short squeeze out of you know what, and really hitting. If it does come down, it came to that 21 EMA and just bounced. So that once, twice. If this does want to continue going higher, we're going to be looking for some overall price targets around $17. It's going to be the next like Fibonacci retracement that we looked at. If it does want to come down, we're going to be looking for around that $13 to potentially bounce there. Again, this is, if it does come down, it's going to be a very, very quick one to come down. So be very careful on this one. And like Johnny Bravo says, a very high short interest is there. Leah says, can we talk about Chegg? Yeah, Chegg, talk about another one that has made a super strong recovery here, built a little bit of a base here, got the momentum, and really had that 5 and 8 cross through the 21 AMA, and really looking for that momentum to continue. Very strong aggressive movement, again, holding that 5 EMA on the way up the whole way, and looking for that potentially to try to break that previous high. But with earnings coming out, we could see this potentially come back down to around $80 range or even lower if the options aren't, or the market doesn't really like it or appreciate it. But to the upside, we're looking for around $90 with the overall target looking for around 97. So folks, on that note, I want to thank everyone for coming out, enjoying the chat. If you want to join the Discord, I can link that in a link in the description. And as well, we have a Patreon page and the YouTube membership tab if you want to support the channel directly and see some potential stuff that comes with those little perks there. Again, guys, thank you so much. Oh, GTFO says BBW. Bill the Bear. Bill the Bear, are you in this? I remember I bought I didn't buy Bill the Bear. I shorted it because they were talking about the Star Wars Mandalorian one coming out. Like that was hilarious. That was a long time ago though. This thing is a very interesting play without a doubt. This has been just kind of been a choppy market, kind of trying to make a recovery here. It's getting above that $3 range to potentially test 4. Let me look on the fib side here for you. Yeah, looking for that 397 to be potentially the next movement there. Doug, let's end with space. Let's do space. So space, of course, is Virgin Galactic. This thing is just kind of, this thing just gets hit. It gets a run up and then it gets hit, gets a run up, it gets hit, gets a run up and gets hit. I think this could easily come back down to that $17, $18, $19 range, and just kind of just trade sideways for some more. Going to earnings, who knows what's going to happen with earnings because they're not really have too much revenue. But that being said, if we do get that consolidation pattern, as long as it stays above that $16 range, I think we're still fine. Again, most of these folks are really holding it for the long term. Alex, can you give me a coin that looks good? No, sorry. I don't trade the crypto coins. Greg B, Disney. We talked about Disney. So Disney, we're looking for some initial support around where it's currently trading at, around the 125, 124-ish range to kind of hold here, but looking for some targets above 137. To the downside, looking for, again, hold around 120 and even down to around that 116. Honest, I don't know, says Halion. Halion, I'm getting a little bit of flack about. I'm saying that it could potentially come down to around that $20 range and maybe start building a base here and seeing how that one plays out. But this is definitely, I don't want to be catching a somewhat of a falling knife, even though people are true believers for whatever reasons. I can't be very careful out there. SLB, what's SLB? That's Schlumberger. Yeah, oil and gas not doing the well, and of course with oil being down, and the futures market, which is again futures are kind of hit and miss right now. This thing is not really too much to talk about. Initially looking for some support around that $14 range, but with oil, it's going to be very hard to kind of be looking at it. Guys, on that note, again, thank you so very much. Please don't forget to like and subscribe on the way out. We'll be doing more live streams coming out soon this week. Of course, we have a lot of earnings coming out, so be very mindful, heads up, know when your stocks or your options are expiring or when you have huge earnings events, because again, you don't want to be waking up and having confusing of like, why is your stock down or for whatever reason. All right, guys. Thank you so very much. Guys, have a fantastic, wonderful rest of your evenings.